If you look at the Ravens defense, don't tell me that's what you're accustomed to seeing. It's not. The Ravens defense over the last 2 weeks, first 2 weeks of the season, who did they go against? I forgot who it was. I know it's Arizona, one game. And then Miami. I'm sorry. Miami and Arizona was their first 2 games. So you could make the argument that they're in a world of trouble or whatever. All I'm saying is I give props to the Cleveland Browns, and that's a subject for later on in the show. But the reality is that the Baltimore Ravens, they have been accustomed to being synonymous with having a stout defense. That is not what they look like right now.
You're all mixed up in the labels.
Are you going?
You want to jump on?
Are you going to eat this up?
Let me do this, and then you can adjudicate at the end. I'll say this. You're all into brands. And I'll leave the Ravens.
I'm all into brands?
Yes.
You're saying that with a straight face?
I am. Labels are very important to you. For example,
Alabama,
if you're known for something, you need to stick to that. Okay. If this is your job description, you need to stick to that. I will leave the Ravens defense to you, okay? I'll just address the Browns. First of all, before I even get to the Browns offense, the Browns are going to have a very good defense this year. Yep. That's the first thing. They can get to the quarterback when healthy. They'll be able to do things in the secondary. Like, they're going to have a very good defense. But offensively, Molly, I know you put up 45 points, whatever. You say the offense is clicking on all cylinders. No, it's not. Not yet. They're going to get Kareem Hunt back in the second half of the year, the back 9 or 8 as it is.
Well, it's the first time they put up real points, big time points.
Yes, but that's with Odell targeted twice and no Kareem Hunt. They give you 45. This is a very, very talented team. Look, when they got blown out by the Titans week 1, you may think, okay, maybe you revise downward by at least a game because you're supposed to beat the Titans at home week 1. But you also realized that they probably were going to get out to a slow start. Changes on the offensive line, new pieces coming in, tough schedule early. They were also going to win a game they were supposed to lose. That was this one. But none of this is even really the Browns yet. You will see Cleveland in the second half of the season where, by the way, the schedule is soft for them. Fully loaded, if healthy, as a juggernaut, both sides of the ball. My original prediction for them, the over-under, was 10 games. At the worst, I thought, okay, maybe this is a 9-win team, but it also might be an 11-win team. That was good Browns last night.
Let's get back to the fundamental question of whether it was good Browns or bad Ravens. Listen, in football, the reality of yesterday's game is the Browns whooped the Ravens, manhandled them, whooped them on the field and in the scoreboard. And then you usually, when that comes to play in football, you go, well, were there a ton of turnovers by the Ravens? Or did they miss a ton of opportunities in the red zone for the score to be so as lopsided as it was? No, they just got handled. This is a Browns team that I would argue has had as bad a first month as any team in the NFL with the expectations that came in and how they've handled that first month. Mind you, that they sit here today, 2-2 on top of the division. They went into Baltimore and did what? Did something no other team had done in the regular season against Lamar Jackson and the Ravens. Beat them at home, and they whooped them. No team had done that. They also did it without 5 starters.
There have been several occasions where we've watched a team get whipped. And you talked about how weak the team looked.
Right.
You didn't talk about them you didn't talk about the team that whipped them. You talked about, wait a minute, this is out of character. These are the kind of things they're accustomed to doing. These are not the kind of these are the kind of things that they didn't do in this particular situation. Nick Chubb had a 65-yard, he had an 88-yard touchdown run, okay? Had another, I forgot what.
I want you to remember that touchdown because I'm coming back to that.
Okay, all right. So what I'm saying to you is this. I am in no way taking away from what the Browns were able to do, particularly considering the fact that they didn't have 25% of their starters. What I am saying to you, Dan Orlovsky, is that the Baltimore Ravens have been historically the kind of franchise that requires you not to have those guys missing in order to do something like that. So the fact that you were out in Njoku and other starters and you were still able to manhandle, not just beat, but manhandles the Baltimore Ravens on the defensive side of the ball, meaning the Baltimore Ravens defense, to sit up there and run roughshod over them. For a second consecutive game, they gave up over 500 yards. That's not John Harbaugh's team.
Right.
That's not the Baltimore Ravens that you've known religiously. So, and what we've seen over the last 2 weeks tells us something's wrong with this team. What we were saying about the Browns, we weren't inaccurate.
Who was the team who did it 2 weeks ago?
Who was the team?
To the Ravens. Who did it 2 weeks ago?
No, last week. It was Kansas City.
So do you think they're a good team?
Very good.
So how come the Chiefs can do it and be a good team and their performance be good, but the Browns do it because the Ravens are bad?
I have an answer for that. Because what we were talking about was how the Browns had looked coming into this week. This is why Baker Mayfield was up there at press conferences on the podium talking about y'all counted us out, you threw us in the trash, we won't forget it. You know why? Because they did look like trash a majority of the first week. That doesn't mean that they are trash. It doesn't mean they were going to stay that way, but that's how they look. So we called it like we saw it. We ain't had no reason to say that about Kansas City. Yet when they go against Baltimore, all of a sudden Cleveland looks like Kansas City. That ain't about Baltimore?
No, it's about the Cleveland Browns, because first of all, that game that they played on Sunday Night Football against the Rams, they did not look like trash. They were bad situationally.
I agree with that. I agree with that.
So they started this trend. I want to bring up the Nick Chubb touchdown because everyone focuses on that 89-yard touchdown. And for people at home, go rewatch the game to the third quarter and click it when it's 6 minutes and 11 seconds on the clock, because you want to talk about a good football team. They ran the same play against the same defense and ripped off an 18-yard run. Good football teams go do what? Do what you do well. Like Max mentioned that you're a big person of. Do what you do well.
They have an identity on offense.
They watched that play and said, we just ripped off 18. We got to get back to it. The Ravens had just scored to make it a 6-point game, right? We're right back in this football game. Good football teams, when you got to rise up and do something well, do it well. And they ran that same play for a touchdown.
I just want to mention, I don't think this is as well as the Browns can play.
I agree.
I think Baker can be. I think Baker can be significantly better. I'm saying that after they put up 45 points, and
he's only completed 25% of his passes in the red zone this season. Of course, he could be better.
I just want to point out, this is how good this team is, how talented they are. Duke Johnson is in Houston. There's no place to play him. Sorry, Duke Johnson.
Right,
we don't have a place for you.
Callaway's coming, Hunt's coming, Greedy's coming, Denzel's coming.
They didn't have either of their starting corners.
Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.